It's time for the Chips and Salsa Show.
The only show about Latinos for Latinos. And did we mention Latinos?
It's the Latísima.
Latinos come in all flavors, shapes, and sizes. You don't have to be Latino to enjoy chips and salsa.
People love chips and salsa.
What is up, everybody? Thank you so much for joining us here at the Chips and Salsa Show, New Mexico. We have a great show for you today. I'm very excited because I know the district attorney is super powerful. We got a district attorney candidate here, Mr. Cain. We'll let him introduce himself here shortly, but I'm also here, as always, with...
I am the co-host, believe it or not. My name is Alice Lara, and we're here to record every week for the Chips and Salsa Show, New Mexico. And please, thank you, Chipsters, and if you can, this is a super important interview, especially for New Mexico and Doña County. And if you can, spread the word, share this video, and feedback is very welcome. Thank you, Zeke.
Alice is our founder. She's the founder of Chips and Salsa Show. She brings this magic over from Arizona, and here we are today giving back to the community, introducing amazing candidates. I think he's an amazing candidate. Mr. Cain, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're running for, and then we'll jump into national politics.
Thank you, Zeke. I'm Michael Cain. I'm a local attorney here. I've been in private practice for 17 years. We've lived here since 2001. My wife and I moved here from Virginia, where I went to law school. We invested ourselves here. Our daughter's grown up here. I got grandkids here. I have a private law firm over on South Main Street. I'm a former assistant district attorney. I worked under Susana Martinez for almost 4 years.
Wow.
Worked at Children, Youth, and Families Department. I was almost going to run 4 years ago, and the timing just wasn't exactly right. So I decided, after praying about it a lot and thinking about it, I thought this was the time to do it.
Okay, I think it's the right time for you to do it too. I've had the pleasure of speaking with you a little bit off camera, and you came to one of our Republican meetings. You had a great talk. I think everything you said was like music to my ears. And so I'm really looking forward to giving you a good amount of time here shortly to dive so that people can get to know you. You have a really compelling story, and you're a very competent man. And I think you're what this county needs at this point. But for now, Alice, we want to do some national stuff, right, for the folks?
We do, and you know, some of the stuff we can actually bring in, Mike, about this. Mike Cain, C-A-I-N, right?
That's correct.
Kind of like the actor, isn't there a Michael Cain?
There's like 20 different ways to spell Cain. Mine's C-A-I-N.
Great. Well, one of the big things that happened actually today is SCOTUS decided, hey, Colorado, Trump gets to stay on the ballot. And that's a good thing. So kind of, expand on that for us, if you will, Mike, because you've got the expertise that I don't to deal with this.
Yeah, you're saying something about a trickle-down effect.
Yeah, basically the Colorado case was, I think there were 31 or 32 states, including New Mexico, where suits have been brought where they're going, well, Trump bad, we don't want him on the ballot. And there's a real ripple effect of that. There were already Republican states starting to go, well, okay, if you're going to do that, we'll keep Biden off the ballot. But the Supreme Court said that a state cannot prevent a candidate from being on a ballot for the primary based upon what they are claiming is insurrection. I think there's going to be, because of the criminal case that's out there, some of the state criminal cases, I think the Supreme Court's going to come back and they're going to probably expand on this and say that a state can't define this is what we think insurrection is. Only Congress can determine that. So I think that when you got a 9-0 Supreme Court ruling, it's like, okay, those guys are really trying to make a statement.
Right?
So,
I've never seen a 9-0 ruling.
They're really rare.
That's got to be one of the rarest rulings ever. So, and that tells you, I mean, people are pissed, guys. The border's wide open. There are military-age Chinese men coming over, as far as I can see. I mean, there's people coming over, and Trump said this the other day, there's people coming from countries where nobody knows their language, truly a foreign language. They don't even have someone to translate for them anything. So people are pissed off. They see this going on. What else is going on, Alice? What do you got?
And they came up with a new name. The left came up with a new name for these people.
Oh, Lord.
Newcomers. Doesn't that sound friendly and welcoming? I don't even think I call my new neighbors newcomers. Newcomers.
It was undocumented immigrants before.
Yeah, that's from a long time ago. I remember that's what they started doing back when I was in school.
Right.
And you kind of make it sound kind of nice, but the case, it's still a legal term, illegal aliens, and I'm sorry, they are.
So what I learned is recently is that it's a felony. It's still a felony. I'm going to call them illegal aliens. They're freaking illegal. They're illegal immigrants, straight up. So what they do is they're trained how to come up here. They're given maps. and there's two uniforms, right? There's the green federal guys and there's the brown state guys. Say like we're in Texas. Well, they're trained to run towards the green guys, the federal guys, because federal guys take them in, they process them, and then they ship them back in to the country somewhere, and they give them like a 5-7 year court date, right? If the state brown guys get them, they get processed and sent right back. So they're trained to run and chase after the green guys and the green uniforms, the federal guys. So it's illegal what they're doing. But we're seeing basically the beginning signs of a civil war between the federal government and the states right now.
I think you're right, and I want to share with you real quick. So this weekend we were in Hatch. We were doing the referendum signatures and got to talk to a lot of locals. In fact, guys, go to Hatch. You know what? It's like stepping back in time, Mayberry, like when I was growing up here in Las Cruces. Wonderful, great people. So I was talking to a couple of guys. They were legal resident. Okay, they were from Mexico. And I was asking, what do you think about this border
In
stuff?
Spanish or English?
Huh? They spoke good English.
Okay.
I tried to try my Spanish out a little bit just to practice.
Yeah.
They could understand me, actually. But their opinion was they didn't like it. They thought it was wrong because they're in the process of trying to get their citizenship. And it isn't fair. It's a slap in the face, and that's not how we do things in America. And I was asking them, so what do you think? Do you think there was a lot of them here? And they kind of agreed with me there weren't very many because, you know, it's a small community, so they probably go to the bigger cities where they can make money and do more things. But I thought that was very interesting. And along those lines, too, there was another gentleman there that I spoke with, and he actually is a registered Democrat. And his son is probably closer to your age, who is a Republican, a big Trump supporter, has voted for him all the time. But the father told me, he says, no, he says, I'm tired. He goes, I'm a Democrat, but I've been voting Republican because we're tired of them taking advantage of us Latinos. Okay, he has Mexican heritage like me, too. And those speak volumes when you take some time and you talk to the people, which I know you're going to be doing that, Mike. And you're going to be hearing so many stories because those are the real people. And they vote. We registered a lot of people there too. And I think this is going to, I'm so glad that you're running this year. I really think, like Zeke said, it was a good opportunity for you. You probably have already talked to people about these things.
Yeah, people are walking up to me and talking about this stuff. They're wanting my opinion on it. Yeah, so I'm willing to talk to them.
Awesome.
So the interesting thing, and I was just listening to a Joe Rogan podcast with Dr. Phil, because everybody kept telling me to check it out. It's pretty interesting, and I've seen Dr. Phil, you know.
When I sent you?
Yeah, well, there's a lot of clips. People send me a lot of clips.
Yeah.
So I actually listened to the whole podcast, and Dr. Phil's like nailing it over the head. Him and Joe Rogan are like, look, there's military Chinese men, like over 30,000. And they got six packs, you know, they're fit, and they got boots on, and nobody knows where they're going, guys.
Yeah, there's no old, scrawny people in that group. When you look at that
Or
video,
women.
I've never seen very few women, you know, some more children than women, I think.
So how hard is, and this is what Dr. Phil was saying, he's like, why can't we just logically deduce that there's a great deal of potential that they can start attacking our infrastructure, our electric grid, our food sources? I mean, come on, guys. People just need to start realizing that there are ominous agendas going on right now, and there's really no one saying anything about it. I mean, now we're part of the crew that's saying, and I don't want to lump Mr. Cain in, and I don't want to get him in any trouble, although these are the issues he's going to have to deal with that if he wins, you know. So I don't really necessarily want to ask you what you think about that, but I just want to make the public aware, if you're listening to this show, that I'm aware, me and Alice are aware, and we are concerned about this, and it's something that we don't take very lightly, and we want to do everything we can to expose it and do what we can to work together in a peaceful manner to address it. That being said, is there anything else national, Alice?
Well, let's see. I'm looking down my little list. We talked about the SCOTUS thing. We talked about both Trump and Biden went down to the border. They did.
Right.
And,
yeah, Trump's waving at illegal immigrants right there, walking on in. Seriously.
Waving them in. Come
I
on
mean,
in. Absolutely.
Might as well be friendly, I guess.
I think that I agree with you. We got to get ready. And the good thing, too, I just want to encourage people, please share this information, because even when you go and you talk to the average person, they're busy working, trying to make a living, supporting their families, and they don't necessarily have time, or it's some of it's so fantastic they don't believe it. So when you can share even a quick video and show them, and then like the old Glenn Beck thing used to say, don't believe me, do your own research, go on there and look and see, because just because I say it or Zeke says it, doesn't mean
okay,
we're
cool.
perfect.
Because that's cool. That's our national stuff. Let's jump. I want to jump really quick into local Las Cruces politics. I really get a chance to do that. Usually I try to avoid talking about Las Cruces politics, but I actually get to report some good news today. So basically I learned through the Instagram, the Las Cruces Police Department and the City of Las Cruces has a great Instagram, straight up. I comment on it, I post on it, and they reply to me right away. And it's a good resource, guys. So if you guys can, follow City of Las Cruces on their Instagram. Very active Instagram they got. So the police chief and the city government, I don't want to know if it's a mayor or what, but they've got some really cool stuff that's going to be getting implemented very soon here. They're going to be ramping up laws and enforcement and policy. And it just looks like a very aggressive plan to keep the crime at bay, which I think is really refreshing, being years dealing with the crime here and nothing being done. It looks like they're going to be doing some heavy-duty stuff as far as LCPD is concerned. That could be the mayor. I don't know. Probably. What do you think? I mean, what's
well,
up?
the chief did that, Chief Jeremy Story, and the video is up, and he kind of goes through everything. He has his bullet points.
Right.
And he lays it out, and it looks great. Now we have to see what is actually implemented, because, also has to go along with, and he actually, I think he called out kind of the city council, because they've got to change some of their policies and things.
He's got
Las
balls.
Cruces is savable. It's salvageable. But if we don't pay attention right now, we'll be in big trouble. That's why we need good people at the helm, and that's why we have Mike on today. It's good.
So there was that. I'm glad you were abreast with that too. That the police chief has some amazing plans. Let's see how far they're able to go with it. But a lot of times there's stuff about the district attorney or the city council with weird policies. The other thing that happened, this is something that I care a lot about, because when I first got into politics and I learned kind of how local politics worked, our city manager was not from here. Nothing against. He's from an island somewhere.
Nevada?
He's from Nevada, but he's an islander-looking guy. He just doesn't look like he's from around here. And it's like, okay, that's okay. I'm not being racist or anything, but it's like, why would you want someone running your city government? That's like someone from another country coming in and running your state or running, you know what I mean? Like, you want someone that's from here running your city as a city manager. So what the City of Las Cruces did is they made it so only someone from Las Cruces can now become the city manager. That could be a bad thing.
They just did that.
They just did that. I think it could be a bad thing because they can get a good old boy or good old girl in there. But at the same time, I think that's still better because we can hold them accountable because we know them. We grew up with them most likely.
Does it have to be from New Mexico? Is that the
I think it's from
standard?
the city, from Las Cruces.
Actually from Las Cruces?
Yeah, from Las
Boy,
Cruces.
they really did narrow that down, huh?
I think that's huge. And why not?
Do they have to have a certain amount of time that they've lived here?
I don't think that, I didn't see any year stipulation, but that's a huge salary.
Because what if they lived here for a year? It's kind of the same thing. I wonder.
How hard would it be if you were an assistant city manager like the current mayor was, or if you have any kind of experience in the city government? Come on now, you just got to do the right thing here. It's not the most complicated thing. Bureaucracies are way easier than regular business. I'm sorry, I've been on both sides of it. Like, regular bureaucracies is like, your mindset should be like, I got to give the people as much freedom as I can and stay the hell out of the people's business as much as I can. That should be the mentality of our politicians. The politicians that we have now don't have that mentality. They have the mentality they want to get meddled in with the public as much as they can and freaking take advantage of it as much as they can.
The control, and we forget, and I put the blame on us too, because we're the bosses and we're supposed to keep them in check.
Agreed.
And
You're
when
big
we
on
don't
that.
do that, when we don't do that, see what happens. So it's got to be a fine balance, and that's why you've got to get good people, because we're in effect the HR department. That's why you got to you have to elect good people that you can trust and watch them too.
So on that note, good people, which, I just met Mr. Cain recently, and his track record. You've been married how long, you were saying?
34 years in September.
Hey, congratulations.
In this day and age, that's a huge achievement.
First and only?
No.
First and only?
What did you say?
You're first and only?
No, there was a previous Mrs.
That's okay.
That's
Because
all right.
34
I married
years
the
is
current
good.
Mrs. Cain for almost 34 years.
Salute.
But Mr. Cain, you've got a really compelling story. Let's go ahead and start off, if you could, please, sir. Let the public know about why you got into law. I think that's a really compelling story, and I think the people need to know about what your true motivation is for being here and running for office, and why you're even here in New Mexico in the first place.
Okay, I'll try not to talk too long because I am old and there's a lot of stuff.
It's all right, man.
I grew up in the mountains of western North Carolina. My grandfather raised me. He was a Baptist minister. He was also a retired Army lieutenant colonel.
Awesome.
I have a very odd military career myself. I went into the Coast Guard when I was 18 years old. Went through engineering school and ended up as an engineer in the engine room of an old steamship. It was built in 1936. It's now a museum. Got out and went into the Army National Guard, and then a couple of years later managed to get myself into officer candidate school. And back in the 80s, when we're talking about the Air Defense Artillery, which is what I was branched in, was headquartered at Fort Bliss. So I ended up there on active duty in 1986 and again in 1989-90, and that's where I met Mrs. Cain. She's from El Paso.
So real quick, I want to interrupt you really quick. So just so you guys know, the top leading military generals ever always have been engineers. Okay, the engineer mindset, the engineer brain and intellect and just overall IQ is very sought after in high-level leadership. Go ahead.
Thank you. The thing that kind of was the turning point for me was in 1988. My dad was a small town lawyer, much like I am, what I'd call a Main Street lawyer. He had a small practice in Marion, North Carolina, and in January the 21st of 1988, he was murdered by his next door neighbor.
Wow.
And I was actually really good friends with the district attorney. I'd known him since he was 15 or 16 years old. I grew up there. And he fumbled the trial, and the guy that killed Dad ended up getting convicted of involuntary manslaughter and doing about 7 or 8 months. And in the meantime, this guy was driving up and down the street in front of where I worked, and he would blow the horn and give me the finger, and he would go around and tell people I killed one of those effing Cains.
After he killed your dad?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
So it was a strong motivator for me to want to go into law. I mean, honestly, what I always wanted to be was a prosecutor. But one thing led to another, and I ended up in private practice. And when you end up in your own business, it's kind of tough to walk away from it. So
the freedom.
You're financially you're tied up in it, so you have to stay there. But a couple of years ago, I really thought strongly about running. I wish I had now in some respects because of the disaster that the current district attorney's made over there. But this time, I felt like there's a really strong calling for me to do it. I see a leading, I think, for me to do it, and I see doors opening for me to do it. So I have not only do I have a wife, I have a 30-year-old daughter who's a school teacher. I have 2 grandkids. They all live here. So when we moved here in 2001, Las Cruces was rated one of the best places in the country to live. It was the kind of place we wanted to come and invest ourselves and go, gee, we could see ourselves spending the rest of our lives here. My in-laws had retired to Alamogordo, so we had a reason. There was some other things going on. But in the last 3 or 4 years, they've turned this beautiful city basically into a third world country. And a lot of that is coming from the city council, in my opinion. I think a lot of those policies are coming directly. By making this a sanctuary city, they just put up the neon sign and turned it on and said, come in, make yourselves at home. And they're responsible now, I believe. They see the people that are here that are, I want to make sure I'm really clear on something because people will attack me if I'm not. There's 2 subsets of homeless people. There's one set of homeless people who are down on their luck. They need to get back on their feet. They want to get better. And a lot of those people end up over at Gospel Rescue Mission.
100%.
I know the folks who run
place.
that, they do a great job over there.
Yeah, we just had Cheryl on last week.
Henry Young and
too,
and
yeah.
Cheryl are friends of mine. The other subset are the ones who are stealing grocery carts around town, pushing them around, doing meth, doing heroin, doing fentanyl,
Decorating our streets. Yeah.
defecating. I have had them do it in the bushes at my law office. I've had to run twice people camping out on the roof of my law office off, and they'll get bulled up at you. They're like, how dare you tell me to leave? I'm like, okay, I'll repeat myself. Either you can get off on your own power, or I will throw you off the roof. So you can make your own choice about it. And I'm pretty intimidating, so they get off.
You're a big guy.
But yeah, I can be quite intimidating when I want to be. But I've worn a lot of hats in my life. I ended up as a captain in the Army. I got out. I was going to finish my college degree. One thing happened in the other. I couldn't get back in. I had some medical issues I didn't know about.
So you were were you a JAG officer? Or?
No, this is way before I went to law school. I was an air defense artillery and an infantry officer.
Okay.
So this is way before law school.
You're still a young person.
So I am.
No, at that point.
Back at that time, yeah, I'm not like not hardly anymore, but yeah. It took me 14 years of working and going to school part-time to get my bachelor's degree. I went back to community college and worked through there. I was a straight-A student. A couple of years later, after I came back off active duty, I went back and got my 4-year degree, going to school at night and working a full-time job. 4 years later, I started law school. I was working about 25 hours a week, and I graduated in 2.5 years. So I graduated a semester.
Wow.
So,
so real quick, because there's a lot. You got a lot of stuff going on. You're an interesting guy, but in the interest of the people, and Alice had asked this question earlier. Could you explain to us? Because I think this is very important. What the district attorney does, and then how you can use those powers to influence, if not work with, the city council to address the crime. Because everyone wants to worry about crime right now.
The district attorney is the primary prosecutor. They're the person that represents the state of New Mexico in prosecuting any crime, whether it's a misdemeanor or a felony. The only exception to that are city ordinances that can be prosecuted by the city attorney in municipal court. But anything that's in magistrate court or district court, misdemeanor or felony, is prosecuted, which means the DA doesn't represent the victim. The DA represents the state of New Mexico, but they're there to prosecute the person for breaking the law. That's their job. They're there to see justice done. That's another thing that we don't frequently see with district attorneys. I went to Regent University Law School, which was the Pat Robertson and the 700 Club and the Family Channel. And I was actually ordained as a minister of justice when I graduated. And that's actually one of the terms that's assigned to a district attorney. They're supposed to be a minister of justice. They're supposed to see the right thing done. If a person, they're supposed to be able to sit down and look at and evaluate a case and do the right thing. And that's what I would do. I'm able to evaluate cases. I'm able to put a good team together, and we will see the right thing done.
So, Mike, so you represent New Mexico.
Yes.
So who do you answer to? I mean,
Good question.
I'm going to tell you, as they like to say, IMHO, in my humble opinion, I'm here to represent one group: citizens, taxpayers, homeowners, and business
thank
owners.
you. That's a good answer.
Period. The end. I don't have any friends in city council. I could care less what those people say about me. You can ask anybody that knows me. I really don't care what anyone says. One of the Democrat primary participants made a smart alecky smarmy comment to one of my friends one day. Well, I can't believe he would run there. He said, you really don't understand him. He just don't care what you say. It's a self-confidence because I know what I'm capable of. I know I've done over 200 jury trials to verdict. I've only lost a couple. I'm really, really, really good at what I do.
Pretty good score there.
Most of it was a prosecutor, but there was quite a number of them as defense attorney. But you've got to have the ability to be able to talk to a jury and to get them to understand what happened in a case. And that's the secret to being a trial attorney. There's two kinds of people that go to law school. There's transactional attorneys and there's trial lawyers. I'm a trial lawyer. That's what I was born to do. It's what I do. I'm really good at it. You probably don't want me on your golf team or your tennis doubles, but I'm really good in court.
And trial lawyer, the latter is very difficult. If you know anything about being a lawyer and attorney, trial lawyers are very hard to find. Ones that have a winning record are very hard to find. So, you're saying that district attorney is one that prosecutes criminals, and so with these illegal immigrants, how does the district attorney deal with that? Because we got these guys committing these crazy crimes. I mean, I follow that Instagram page that goes around following like crimes around city all day. I don't know if you guys follow. Man, he's been posting some crazy stuff with the homeless people just whacked out of their gills on fentanyl. You see that girl the other day?
Yeah,
she was
on the road?
Yeah, on the road. She was flipping out. I mean, she's gonna die soon. She's a
Is
zombie.
this like nationwide?
No, it's here in Cruces.
Oh, just Las Cruces.
Just Las Cruces.
Are you talking about illegal immigrants or are you talking about the homeless?
Both. How would you address both?
The homeless. If you live on the south side of town, you've probably seen me walking to work on Tuesday and Thursday mornings. I put on an old school army pack like I wore back in the
I have seen you actually. I don't think about it. Yeah.
Everybody in town laughs at me, but I do it anyway. I walked 4.5 miles to town carrying a 65-pound pack, and I've got the same combat load that I carried in the Army. I'm carrying ammunition and water, and the reason I do it is because it keeps me in really, really, really good cardio health. I'm actually going to do the short baton march next week, after next.
Dude, okay.
14 miles. I'm probably the oldest person there. But
no, I got some other friends going.
There's some people that are camped out down on the south side of Valley on Main Street, right before you go into the I-10 overpass. There's like a little railing there.
Yeah.
And down in that ravine, there's 4 or 5 that have set up in there camping. Mm-hmm. So I have been calling every morning when I go by. I have my smartwatch on. I call 911 and just raise hell about it. So after about 3 weeks, I finally got a call back from one of the sergeants. And he goes, well, who owns the property? I said, it doesn't matter. And he goes, what do you mean it doesn't matter? How am I going to? I said, well, first of all, you can go on the internet and figure out who this piece of property belongs to and ask them, can these people be there? He goes, oh, okay. And I said, if you don't, criminal nuisance is a misdemeanor. I gave him the cite to the statute. I said, that means that if they're doing anything that affects health, safety, welfare, and morals, or affects another citizen's ability to exercise their rights, you can walk up out there and tell them to leave. Pooping in a coffee can and keeping bags of trash and filth is a nuisance by definition every day of the
Public
week.
health, safety.
And I said, here's what's really magic about that. When you walk up out there, I guarantee you there's going to be 2 or 3 grocery carts there. Well, he goes, how do I know who they belong to? I said, look on the handle. It'll say Dollar General Store or Walgreens or Walmart on it. Now you've got in possession of stolen property, which is a felony. Those things cost anywhere between I actually looked it up, $500 to $1,000 a piece, grocery carts. And I said, when you arrest them for that felony, now you have to inventory search their stuff. I'd be willing to bet you there's going to be fentanyl, heroin, or some other illegal drugs in there. Now you got them on 2 sets of felonies. And you know what he told me? I'm not signing my name to that. I actually thought he was joking. I said, you got to be, excuse my language, shitting me. And he goes, oh no, I would never do that. I actually called a friend of mine over to the city attorney's office and said, what the hell is going on with LCPD? He said, I don't know. I can't get them to do anything either. I don't know what the deal is. Maybe this thing with this tragedy that happened week before last will change things, but they're flat out ignoring. And the officers are telling me, because I talked to the cops, they're telling me, we really want to do something about this, but we're being told, wink, wink, you can't do anything.
What do you mean they can't do anything?
They're being told by their higher-ups to leave it alone.
Just leave it alone.
So when you say the higher-ups,
I'm not calling
He can't
names.
say-
I don't
no,
know
you
who
can't
they are.
say that. So I just
Somebody
want
up
our
the-
audience to think about that.
Somebody up the chain of command does not want anything
Well,
done.
for those who don't know, City Council can draft and implement policy for the Las Cruces Police Department to follow. And so I'll just leave it at that.
And there's some simple things too that can be done, and we can talk more about that as well. Like, what I want to ask you before I forget is, we actually went, I don't know if you went to the CCIA thing, but Byers actually had a room, and we were asking him questions. And one of the things that he was blaming, he said that during COVID, they couldn't have trials, they had to delay them, which, you know, I haven't been here quite 2 years, but I thought, I think there's a thing called Zoom and stuff they can do over the phone. But he blamed a lot of that. There was a backlog. And then one other thing too, and you and I know we've talked about this, he said that they, you know, other counties had just about as much money as we do, and we have a lot more to deal with, so we don't have enough money to hire all the attorneys we need to. So that's kind of very specific, but I'd love for you to address it, Mike.
I worked over there from 2000 to 2004, and that office is staffed at 30 to 35 attorneys. And we never, to my knowledge, ever went below 32 or 33. We were fully staffed.
Prosecuting attorneys?
Prosecuting attorneys.
I love this point. Please continue.
The normal, since Mr. Byers has been DA, is 6 or 7. Not only that, the attorneys that he hires aren't licensed to practice law in New Mexico.
What?
There's a
can they
limited law
do that?
license. Follow this and track with me. There's a limited law license that just used to be when I came here. If you were from another state and you had a law license, you could practice as long as you worked for the state, but you had to take the first bar exam that was given and pass it when you moved here. So people would come and they'd work for the DA or the public defender or whatever, and they'd have to take the first bar. Well, that isn't the way it is anymore. Now it's, if you're licensed anywhere, you can come here and work for any state agency as long as you want to. The best of my knowledge, all of his attorneys are licensed in other states except for he and the chief deputy.
And they're all garbage too. I have a friend, I won't even say what gender she or he she is, but whatever.
person.
Are you allowed to?
Yeah, it's
human.
Las Cruces. Yeah, it's you know, I don't know what she classifies or he, but she's a public defender, and she said the ones I keep giving her up. basically they said that the prosecuting attorneys that are there, even though they're like less than half of what they're normally supposed to be staff, are terrible. They're terrible prosecuting attorneys.
They have no training. I have gotten in trouble a couple of times for going after the DAs because I'm really aggressive when I'm provoked. The problem is, let me tell you what, I made really good notes when I worked for Susana Martinez.
Good.
Amy Orlando, I made really good notes. They had an amazingly good chain of command. When you graduate from law school, you know no more about practicing law than my dog knows how to fly an airplane. You know, kind of like there's all these terms. If medical school was that bad, I'd never go to see another doctor. But that's not the way law school's designed to be. It's to teach you to think like a lawyer. But they don't teach you how to do stuff like do trials and actual real
procedural stuff. Yeah.
Anything. So what they do is they bring these young kids in here and throw them into magistrate court with no training. They don't know what they're doing, but they haven't been trained.
But they get fired regularly too, for what I heard.
They do get fired regularly. They do. I mean, it's honestly, it's to the point where I can't keep track of who people are over there anymore.
But see, you guys, if you guys don't know, the primary reason for the crime, if you know anything about like real politics, which I do, I like to say I do. I mean, I don't know that. I know that I don't know anything, but I do know that district attorneys are pretty much the ones responsible for high spiking levels of crime because look what they're doing here. They're not getting the right amount of prosecuting attorneys in there, and the ones that are in there are incompetent.
Yeah, how do they win?
They don't know how to analyze a case. When you look at a case, that's what's supposed to be the primary skill set of a lawyer is you tell me, okay, this is a fact pattern, and I look at the law, and I apply the facts to the law, and I'm supposed to tell you this is what should happen in that case.
Right.
That's what a real lawyer knows how to do. Nobody in that office, and I mean Gerald Byers included, knows how to do that. He is absolutely incapable of doing it.
This is a good chance to throw him under the bus. Go ahead.
Well,
And
under
he's
the bus,
running
he's
again,
a
right? He's running.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Under the bus, he's a going, and I'll give him the will and the facility to change the law. I want to answer what you said, Alice, about this whole thing about COVID. I had been under the public defender contract for a couple of years, and I had gotten myself overwhelmed with criminal cases when COVID broke out. I think we had 150 open criminal cases, and it was just killing us. But we showed up for work every day. My staff and I did all during COVID. They were having Google Meets hearings, and they were having trials in person after a couple of months. The judges over there realized, oh crap, we can't just let and sit this stuff sit around and let it fester. Yeah. The problem was that the DA's office wasn't ready. When I came out of COVID, I think I had 6 or 8 cases, open criminal cases left. We'd worked almost all of them down to zero.
Down from 150.
Down, literally, over 2.5 years, we worked ourselves out from under that case.
Wow.
But here's the bigger problem. You have a DA that doesn't know what he's doing. You have, and the other thing I wanted to get into, I'm having a bit of a train of thought problem here.
It's all right.
I know Gerald Byers got attacked for dropping 35% of the criminal cases here about a month or so ago, and he was on Fox News. And he got on there and he goes, oh, it's an unfunded mandate from the Supreme Court. And he wrung his hands and he ripped his clothing and he threw sackcloth and ashes all over himself. I'm such a victim. It's an unfunded mandate. The Supreme Court came down and made us. The reason the Supreme Court did it is because his office is incompetent.
Oh.
It's the only county in the state that has that set of Supreme Court local rules.
So they absolved him of all his criminal cases to lighten his workload, basically.
He had to. The Supreme Court is all over him.
That is so. Now we have criminals that were never prosecuted.
Well, they may or may not be in the future. I've got a guy right now that was shot in the mouth down here on South Main Street. The guy said, "I'm going to effing kill you." Got out of the car, shot him in the mouth with a gun.
That's in the face.
In the face. My guy lived. There are 3 eyewitnesses. The whole thing was captured on 911, and my client is willing to testify. This dude was charged with aggravated battery, great bodily harm. It's attempted first-degree murder. It's attempted first-degree murder every day of the week. Every single day.
Nothing. Just
myself and another attorney representing this guy civilly, we wrote an 18-page letter to Mr. Byers and his chief deputy that they could have cut and pasted into a grand jury indictment.
And nothing.
No answer. Just radio silence.
That's important to know, man. That's important to know. You can get shot.
But then you've got other cases where people shouldn't be charged and they're just focused on them. I mean, they won't turn loose on them. Just
They're trying to bury him.
Just trying to bury the person for who knows what reason.
They're not doing their job.
They don't know how to do their job. Gerald don't know how. He hides under his desk. I'd be willing to bet half the people in that office couldn't identify him if they saw him. And I've already talked to several of the bailiffs. They told me that he hasn't been in the courthouse in 6 months.
Well,
That's not good.
Here's my question.
Get me started. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
There's a little bit of passion there, just a little bit.
You're getting me fired up too, but it's okay because I like to talk about this stuff because you talk about incompetence, and this is a topic I talk about all the time too. Do we think it's incompetence or is it on purpose? It's really hard to decipher these days because things are getting train wrecked so bad. It's almost like they want to act like they're fumbling, but it's like, dude, you know what you're doing. This is destroying everything. I mean, what?
And is this a 4-year term?
It's a 4-year term.
Okay.
Okay, that's just my 2 cents on it. I have a hard time deciphering if it's on purpose or it's incompetence. It feels like a combination of the both.
It's
I
a
don't
very
know.
good question.
Well, it's hard to imagine anyone being that unintentionally incompetent. I'll just say that. You almost
Exactly.
have to look at it and go, are you really that incompetent or are you doing it? I mean, it's what you said.
I don't know. You know,
I don't know either.
But they're really good at acting dumb. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, because he's like, yeah, he is that. They are that dumb. I'll just give him. You know, they're just-
So let's take that. And I'm so glad that you addressed those 2 points because those were the 2 points that stuck out at me when we were at that meeting. I'll say. So let's get you elected. Let's say you're
Okay.
elected. All right, you're in.
I'm
You're
blind.
there.
I'll
You're at the
say it.
helm.
I'll say
There's
it.
your attorney Cain.
And thank you for sharing your story. He does have a wonderful story. And once, do you have your website up yet? By the
We're working on it. I'm
Okay.
trying to get one. So
Okay,
we're
so
trying to
once
get
you
the
get that-
signatures right now to get me onto the general ballot, and it probably within the next week or so we'll have the website and social media presence.
Oh, and let me do a quick commercial for that too. Okay, so if you live in Doña County, now you need to be a Republican to sign your.
You have to be a
petition, right?
registered Republican in Doña County, and you have to use your name and address exactly as they are at the county clerk's office.
Right.
And just so you know,
Go
only
on.
badasses are Republican. So if you're a badass and you're really cool, you can sign this petition.
Right, so you can go online and sign it. You also can, if you're old school like me and you know want to do it by paper petition, that's a way as well too. Why don't you quickly give out your email or is it whoever's running your campaign, if that's easier for you, because you're going to be so busy.
I can give my personal email address. It's Michael, Michael, .Cainlaw, CAINLAW, @gmail.com.
Okay.
And if you'll email me and say, send me the link, I'll send you the link so you can go on and register online. We've got enough basic signatures to get me on the ballot, but if they throw any out, I may not have enough.
It's always better to have more.
I
So
need more than not enough.
if you can, get on there. Now, all it is doing is getting him on the ballot for the Republican primary. But what I wanted to ask you is, so you get on there and we get you elected. How will you be addressing, because you're going to have a lot of work to do. So what are some of the things that you would do to address these issues, these incompetent, we'll call them incompetent issues, maybe on purpose,
Well,
problems?
one of the first things is I am probably in the I am in the unique position to bring back a lot of the old talent prosecutors that are currently living in this county, but
Really?
commuting to Deming and Silver City and Alamogordo, people that will not work for any of the people on the Democrat
Wow.
side.
So they
of the
just
election.
flee.
Wow.
They
They
flee.
just flat out won't work here. They'd rather drive to Deming every day
Wow.
than work here. Yeah,
That's
I can hire those people back.
Dude, it's worse than I thought.
Yeah, driving 2 hours a day when you just don't want to work for the people. There's a reason why.
That's bad.
Well, and they're consistently advertising for prosecutors, but nobody. The reputation throughout the state is nobody wants to
They
work
know. I'm
here.
telling you, I know several lawyers, and they're just like, this place is a hellhole.
It is. It is. I have a really strong work ethic, Alice. I'm used to working 65 hours a week. As you can tell, I'm not exactly dressed like most attorneys. This is my normal mode of dress.
So you're working clothes?
I wear suspenders everywhere, but anyway, I've got my logo shirt on from my office, and I've got on, you can't see it, but I've got on BDU pants and combat boots.
He is armed, by the way, which I
Those
love.
are cool. I love
Which
all those pockets.
Well, the pockets are kind of handy, but what I do is if I've got to go to court, I'll turn the collar of this shirt under, put a dress shirt on, a necktie, and a sports coat, and I go to court like this. Actually, a couple of years ago, one of the assistant district attorneys dressed up like me at Halloween. They think that's funny. They don't understand. They're making me worse. So when they do that,
That's good. It creates attention. I like it. Well, hey, real quick, because this is a blue state. It's a blue city. We got to get you some Democrat votes because hey, people want to relate to you somehow, and I try to reach over. I'll have friends that are Democrats. I have lunch. I do business with them. It is what it is. I'm Republican, but I try to reach across when I can, when it's sensible. And there's a lot of that going on. So I think what can help with that is your experience with dogs and the foster care that you do with the dogs.
It's one of the things that my wife and I do. We work with a number of the rescues and the foster program through the shelter. I've probably fostered, probably 25 or 30 dogs in the last couple of years.
Really?
I sponsor adoptions through my office. If people will tell me I can't afford to adopt a dog, I do it with Alamogordo Shelter too. I just tell them send me the bill and I pay for them to adopt.
That's so sick. That's awesome, man.
So we do what we can to try to get those dogs out of there.
And it's true because you're conservatives. We love our dogs. You know,
So do Democrats.
And yeah, absolutely. Too.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't think that, but yeah. And
They do.
we've got a great animal shelter here too. Have you been to the new one?
I have. I'm very disappointed in the fact that they haven't opened up the old shelter since they opened up the new one. They've got 200 dogs over in the old portion of the shelter that they're not letting anyone go in and see.
Oh, really?
What?
I didn't know that.
I wonder what's up with that.
They initially said it was because it wasn't clean enough, but there was a business person who volunteered to go in and pressure wash it, I think once a week, so that it would be clean. But as the last I heard, I may be wrong on this, they were still not opening up the old side of the shelter for people to go in and see the animals. And if they're not seeing them, those animals stay in those cages and they go stir crazy and they end up having to put them down. So.
Oh, that's so sad. Well, I took a tour of the new one, and it's pretty impressive. They have
The
them
new
in
one's
pairs.
amazing.
I mean, it's great.
She's a big dog lover too, Alice.
Oh, huge, absolutely.
But that's okay. I love animals too. I just don't own them myself because I'm never home. But I love animals. I love dogs. I just for whatever reason I have like a connection to them right away.
Oh, yeah.
They
Go
zoom
right to
right
you.
into me. Yeah, they zoom right into me. So I just love that spirit. There's a spiritual connection with all the animals. Once they sink in with you, it's almost like they're telepathic. They can kind of sense
Like
you.
your kids.
They know energy, just like I think Biden's commander, the dog. He knew when he was.
Oh man, well that dog was probably getting abused, right? Because that's the dogs that are attacking
poor
the Secret
babe.
Service regularly, right? So
What do you think, Mike, about
the dog.
commander?
Did you hear about that? Dogs, you heard about it.
I heard about it. I won't say anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
You'll get censored if I say anything about that.
So you worked. I think that's huge. You worked under Susanna Martinez. Have you talked to her at all? Have you told her you're running?
I've lost track. I haven't. I did talk to Amy Orlando, and Amy said she would support me.
Okay.
I talked to several of the other attorneys who worked there when I did. They're all like, hell yeah, we'll support you.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of good things about you for people who are in the field. People who actually know who you are, what you do. I've heard very good things about you, actually. You're a very ethical man. You're a very competent man, and you've got a super good winning record. I mean, that's something you can't argue against.
Only 2 cases lost.
Well, I mean, I don't know,
I
2
mean-
or 3. I can't remember that.
Oh,
many.
yeah, out of 2
I can remember a couple right off the top of my head, but I've been doing this for 24 years, and when you go through all those trials, honestly, we had a really good record when I was over at the DA's office. I think I've lost 1 verdict after trial as a defense attorney, but I got the judge to turn around and do the correct thing and give a conditional discharge to my client. So it was a case that really shouldn't have ever gone to trial. But
Wow. Mike, I want to ask you, so talking to a broad audience out there, what is something that they can do to learn more about that, about the district attorney's office? And I know you want to touch on policy, because for example, we ask you, what is a district attorney? I doubt that the average person really knows what you do. They confuse you with, other attorneys, and maybe because I always thought, is a district attorneys, do they do county or do they do city or what? And I do want you to go into the policies that you want to institute as well.
it's a state prosecutor. There is a U.S. Attorney's Office over here that prosecutes any federal crime. And as the city of Las Cruces has their own city attorney's office, they have a couple of attorneys over there who will prosecute mostly DWIs and domestic violence that happen in the city limits through the municipal court. But any other DWI, domestic violence, property crimes, violent crimes, anything like that goes into the state court system, the DA is the prosecutor for those.
Oh, okay.
What about judges? Do you have any impact on the district judges?
I don't have any impact with them.
Because they get elected, most of them, right?
They are appointed and then they run for retention.
Okay.
I have a good working relationship with the judges. Just in my humble opinion, I've heard people throw the judges under the bus on a lot of what happens.
I was kind of going there, but
I know that's kind of what you were getting ready to think, but
No, I'm not doing it, but I was going there.
and this is my opinion. I think the judges are tired of carrying the water for the DA's office. They see how incompetent the DA's
You were
are,
saying that earlier.
and I don't think I think they're doing.
I
They're
think
following the law.
there's some good judges. I've had good experience with judges, but
I think they're following the law, but they're done bending it if they ever did. I'm not saying they did.
For the DA.
They won't bend it for an incompetent DA's office. That's the way.
because you've got a lot of problems with the judges here. I mean, that's just what it is. Judge Rosner. You know what happened to her.
I think if you walk in the door with your case together the way it's supposed to be, and your T's are crossed and your I's are dotted, I think you're fine.
Okay. Fair enough. I'm asking you. You know more than me. I'm just curious because I talk to the people. I'm involved with politics, all freaking day, and a lot of people have a lot of bad things to say about the judges, straight up. And so you being the district attorney, and they always talk about the district attorney, and I still don't fully understand the relationship between the judges and the district attorney. That's what I'm honestly asking.
Well, the district attorney is bringing all the criminal cases to trial or to charging them that are going to be in front of the judges. So I will be the head of any of the state's cases that are brought before these judges.
Wow.
It's state of New Mexico. It doesn't, it's not Michael Cain versus
No,
state
yeah.
of New Mexico.
You're representing the state.
And I represent the state. I represent the citizens of the state as the district attorney.
So you get to determine what cases you want to focus on. You get to have some input on how they maybe should approach certain cases.
Yes.
And the Constitution needs to be implemented here.
We work, and this is where I wanted to get into this, if you don't mind.
No, please.
I want to seg into the next thing. There were some things that we did really, really, really well with Susanna's office. One was we went to every single law enforcement academy and taught 2 weeks of law.
Good. That sounds
That's
great.
great.
In 14 years that Mark D'Antonio and Gerald Byers have been there, a DA hasn't darkened the door of an academy.
What?
No.
So
At
it wasn't necessarily a requirement for them to do that. That's
No,
just a good
it was
district
because
attorney.
it was good practice. It's like,
Good district
Why
attorney.
wouldn't you do that?
how do you go get a search warrant? Well, there's a lot of misinformation about that, but the general answer is you go get the warrant. You get your stuff together and you go find a judge and you get a warrant signed, and then your case is gold. But that's one of the things. Another thing is we had a senior attorney on the scene of every major crime scene. If it was a murder, if it was a big drug bust, any kind of a major crime, we had a person there to advise the police.
Because it's very meticulous work when you're doing
That
this
sounds
stuff.
like common sense. Are you sure
would
that's
think-
okay?
You would think. Honestly, you would think. People tell me I'm the dumb hillbilly, but sometimes it's like I sit around and look, I'm the one I know with a classical education, and yet I'm the one that's able to say these are the things that need to be done.
My experience, hillbillies are the best lawyers. I swear.
Well, the other thing is, I told you before, Mr. Byers hadn't been in that courthouse in months, according to the bailiffs over there and some other people I've talked to over there. I will be in that courthouse at least 3 times a week. I won't be in court, but I'll be walking up and down the hallway going into where the courtrooms are and seeing what my ADAs are doing. I'll be talking to the judges as I need to.
And we need this, man.
And we need the feedback. It's one of the things I do as an attorney now. I'll go up and talk to judges and I'll go, give me some feedback. How's my pleadings practice? How's my courtroom practice? We need that feedback so we can improve ourselves. Attorneys are arrogant. They think they know everything. I'm not that way. I'm like, tell me what I'm doing wrong. Tell me where I'm wrong. I'll fix it. Just tell me I'm doing it wrong.
Yeah.
But
you do have a different demeanor than most attorneys, that's for sure.
A lot of my clients tell me that.
I know that you in essence oversee, but do you actually ever prosecute? Does the DA actually?
Oh yeah,
do the
I would
prosecution?
be the lead counsel on any major case. I would be the face of the office. Any kind of press release or any kind of update on a major case, I'd be the person you'd be seeing.
I'm excited to talk to you. Susanna was known, if you guys don't know, she was known for prosecuting child abusers.
Child abuse.
Big thing. That was her big thing. What would be your big thing? What do you, I mean, that's a fair question.
I think things have shifted since then. I mean, we've still got the problem with child abuse. Drugs are a different thing than they were now. We had a high intensity drug trafficking area, HIDA grant from the federal government that funded prosecutors. I don't know if they're still doing that or not. We had a grant writer on staff over there. So not only did we get the state money, we got federal money to fund
God,
makes
it's
sense.
a
Sure.
freaking-
I don't think they're doing
You should have it coming like clockwork, bro.
But then, one of the things that has to become, and this is going to sound rinky-dinky, but you're going to have someone doing property crimes and the stuff that the
I like
homeless
it. I like
somebody to do the bums beating each other, homeless people beating each other on the street corner, stealing stuff, taking a whiz in public.
Big problem.
That's a
the
problem.
Stuff, that's the stuff that people are sore about right now.
Yeah.
And when you start to clean that stuff up, you can focus on the bigger stuff.
Yeah, I agree. I don't even care about gangs or anything too much. I think it's like the property rights and the homelessness, and the illegal immigrants. That's what I'm concerned
When
about.
I moved here in 2001, the first year I was here, I think there was one murder in the whole county, and it was in Sunland Park, and I think it was a couple of gang kids down there fighting over something.
Something stupid.
Just some dumb thing like that. But the biggest thing around here then, statistics-wise, was like burglary and breaking and entering and, vandalism.
There's a B&E every day here now, pretty much.
Yeah, there's shootings left and right. There's all kinds of problems with. My daughter won't leave home without a loaded firearm because people come up on her. They're aggressive at Walmart.
Yeah, they are, man. They are aggressive at Walmart.
Give me money. I ain't gonna give you no money.
Everywhere they're getting more aggressive.
You're
Like,
being
I got hit up
funny,
at Circle K the other day. I'm like, dude, these guys are getting
And I'm
relentless.
gonna tell you the thing that really concerns me more than anything else. I'm really afraid that vigilantism is going to take hold if we're not real careful.
Well, we saw a little bit of it during COVID. There was some vigilantism going down just a little bit there. So, I mean, I don't have that much of a feeling yet, but it does seem like it could potentially go that way if something's not done.
I'm talking about people are so tired and they don't see their elected leadership doing anything about it. That's what I'm.
Well, that's
Well,
a national thing too.
And a perfect example is what just happened, losing Officer Jonah Hernandez. If it weren't for the gentleman there with his firearm.
I actually knew him. I knew
Oh, is
both
that
of
right?
them.
Mr. Astorga, I think
Yeah,
it
I
was.
knew Jonah.
Yeah, how beautiful of a story was that? I mean, God, these people should be celebrated that do that intervene with the
And
firearm.
at least they didn't prosecute him either.
At
Yet,
least.
we
I
don't know
was
yet.
over at Craig and Taggart about 2 weeks before that happened. And I do a lot of mechanical stuff as a hobby. And the folks were in there and they were raising hell that day. And what had happened was some homeless person had stabbed another one out in their back lot. They had it on camera.
Jesus.
There was blood everywhere. And the person had staggered off. They called LCPD and nobody would go out there and take a report.
Oh man.
Earlier the day that Jonah Hernandez got stabbed, my daughter showed me an Instagram that was over in front of Valley.
Yep.
Not far from
It's that page.
In front of Village Inn, and there was a guy, I don't know if it was the same guy or not, but he was out there swinging a knife at
What is
some
that
guy.
page?
Las Cruces SH.T.
Las Cruces SH.T on Instagram. Check it out, guys. It's one of the most entertaining Instagram pages I've ever seen, and it's starting Las Cruces. You would think this is like Seattle.
T.
And I don't know. And I tell them, how do you guys find these people? There was a chick that he got filmed for driving around with her pigeons. You see that?
Oh, yeah.
She had a pigeon on her shoulder, cruising around on a little moped. Anyway, I'm sure that's what your daughter showed you was that page.
So that's what she showed me, because she keeps up with all that. But she said, as near as I can tell, nobody even called LCPD, or if they did, they never showed up. But I don't know if it was the same guy or not, but it was just a half mile up the street on the same
Well,
road.
if he's stab happy,
Well,
you
he was
know,
out there swinging.
why wouldn't it? Why wouldn't the odds? I mean, just think of it logically. The odds are it's probably the same dude.
When you hear more of the stories that a lot of the merchants or people think, well, I'm not going to call the police. I did last time, nothing happened. And we can't.
Come
we can't
on
have
now, I
that.
can't have
But
that.
that's why we need someone in there who can actually.
Amco
prosecute crimes.
Transmissions over on Picacho had someone break in there one night, and they had it all on camera. They stole several $1,000s worth of parts. They had them coming out and going to one of the homeless hotels over there, one of those flea bag hotels.
Yeah, the
They
POD
actually knew
area.
which room they were in. They called LCPD, and they wouldn't even go there and knock on the door.
Wow.
AutoZone right down the street, somebody had gone over there and knocked out their entire storefront, gone in and stole over $10,000 worth
Whoa.
of car parts.
No way.
The alarm went off at 2 o'clock in the morning. The manager said, yeah, I got here at 7 this morning. LCPD still hadn't shown up.
Dude.
They wouldn't even come make a report.
That's a big problem. We need you in there real quick. I'm sorry.
No, go
But
ahead.
Oakland just closed down like Starbucks, AutoZone, all these key franchises in Oakland are gone because they were getting robbed too much. These freaking global conglomerates are saying no more. So what happens if they start closing down stores here? We barely have an economy as it is.
Well, right
Right.
across the street here is Walgreens. They don't have a grocery cart in that place because every one of them have been stolen. They've been told by corporate, according to the manager, they can't do anything about it.
I interrupted you though. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, that's what I was going to say.
Okay. Go ahead, Alice. I think I interrupted you too.
We always talk about this, but this area, when I was growing up here, this was a great area. I know
the
you've been
best.
here since 2001, but I grew up here.
It was good in 01 too.
It was still good. It was still a good place to live. They say.
Yeah.
When all these stories, they say, well, the police won't even come. Do the police ever give a response why? Like they say, well, we can't come now, or there's never a good answer.
Great
it seems
question.
like, right?
Great question.
I don't know.
He doesn't know.
I don't know.
Who doesn't? Nobody knows. Nobody can answer that question. Juan's been doing crime and public policy for years, and he still barely knows. What we do know, what we talked about at the beginning, is it's policy. There's bad policy written for these officers so they can't do their job. All right? That's what we know.
I know that the LCPD officers in particular feel like they are being hamstrung.
For sure. I know. I grew up with a lot of cops that are still
They've got
serving
more
today.
handcuffs than the criminals. It's really true.
It's so sad, and then you're scared to defend yourself because you're going to end up going to jail just for doing your job. But okay, cool, man. So there's a lot. This is an important podcast. This is huge. You guys got to share this stuff. You guys got to talk about this. So we need a district attorney who knows the law, who cares about the Constitution, who cares about the city, who knows the city. You've been here since 2001. And I would love to see a debate with you and whoever wins the Democrat primary, because I think you're going to run circles around them.
Absolutely.
It would be colorful.
Hey, Mike, we're down to like our last few minutes. Is there anything that we haven't covered that you'd like to share, like closing thoughts for our audience?
No, I just want people to know that I've got a law practice that I've spent 17 years and everything my wife and I've ever had building. I'm trying to get myself into a position that I can hand it off to a couple of other attorneys that I trust, so that it can continue to run. But I'm literally willing to shut down my life's work and run for this position. I'm old enough I can retire in a couple of years if I wanted to. But I'm willing to take this job on, and I'm willing to work it to try to make this a better place for the citizens of this place and my grandkids. My grandkids are getting raised here, whether I like it or not. They're going to be raised here, and I don't want them growing up in this.
Well, I like the grandpa vibe that you got big time. Because that's just that father figure, that stern, mentality that we need in this city that's hadn't had nothing. Nobody doing nothing, So I support you, man.
People get a job and they get a government title and they get well, I'm the deputy district attorney. Okay, well, that's worth about 15 cents. I mean, I don't care about job titles. I've had job titles before.
No, your ego's in check, for sure.
It's ego trips, well, I'm this and I'm that. I'm like, nobody cares. Do your damn job, for crying out loud. That's what people are paying you to do. Go do your freaking job.
We just want you to do your freaking job, man.
That would be refreshing.
It would be a change of pace, I'll put it that way.
It would be great.
Well, Mr. Cain, look, thank you so much for coming on. I mean, this is, every time I hang out with you, I learn something badass. You know what I mean? I can pick your brain all day about the law, about what you think about certain things. And I think this is a very important interview because if you guys care about crime and you want it to stop and you want someone to enforce the law, this is your guy. This is the guys you need to talk to. All right, we can't necessarily support. I don't know if there's anyone. Is there a Republican running against you?
No.
So we can support this guy 100%. Support Mr. Cain, Republican, conservative, and Democrats like him too because he likes dogs.
I have one more question to ask you. Do you have any upcoming events or anything where people could meet you?
We don't right now. I'm really focusing because I've got a murder trial that starts a week from today.
Was murder the case that they gave you?
No, this is one that my guy's got a self-defense, strong self-defense.
Oh, wow, really? Wow, that's so intriguing.
Probably shouldn't have been tried, but anyway, it's going to.
Damn, that's scary.
But as quickly as I can get done with that, if I can get the signatures to get onto the ballot, that's my first goal. Let me get that done, and I've got my daughter working with me to try to get a Facebook presence up and running. You'll see us on local social media.
We'll probably need to have you on again as the campaign progresses.
Maybe in 3 or 4 weeks, yeah.
To get an update and
Yeah.
everything. But in the meantime,
I'm going to be working personally with you. I got some connections I want to introduce you to. It's up to you if you want to use them, but I think I got a good team for you.
I'm a total amateur. I'm learning as I do this.
No, you're good.
whatever you can do to help, and you can send them a few bucks. I don't know if you're set up for that yet, but I always like to say this because even if you don't live in Doña County, but maybe you are around here, even in New Mexico, you probably come down here and visit anyway. And if you want good conservatives, it's always, you can send them a few bucks.
Yeah, what's a $5,000 check? Hook him up, guys. And it's a guy you can actually talk to. You can hang out with him, give him $5,000, have dinner with him, have lunch with him, and you can actually understand where he's coming from constitutionally with his experience. Wonderful candidate, man. Thank you so much for coming in, brother.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you guys for tuning in. Please like the post, share the post. This is important. Who else is giving you guys district attorney candidates? Who else is doing this for you guys? Freaking nobody. And we're not getting paid. We don't care. We're doing this for the people. We're doing this for the state, for the community, for the country because we love it here. We love you guys. Please share the post, like the post. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you, Mr. Cain. Alice, you got any closing words?
All I say is thank you, Chipsters, for tuning in. And as Zeke said, share the podcast, please. Please do. And Zeke, I do love for you to take us out in prayer.
Absolutely.
Like you always do.
Yes. So thank you, Lord, for having us here today, bringing this amazing district attorney candidate here. I pray that you continue to show us what to do, Lord, so we can better our city, we can attack this crime, we can help save lives, and we can support the right candidates like Mr. Cain to get in these positions of power so we can have a future for our kids and for our stay in our city, Lord. Thank you so much for all the blessings. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, and guac on, everybody. Thank you, Haley and Joey Garza, Oregon Mountain Productions.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you.